Good evening. This is Ken Long from Tortoise Capital on January 24th, 2013. And the first trade of the day that we're going to look at is a regression line crossover in symbol uvxy. That's the double VIX ETF. And the blue line is the opening. Slight gap up, sells off in an orderly fashion, rolls over the 10-period regression line and the price rollover, makes a regression line crossover at the edge of the river. We make an entry shortly thereafter and get an entry at 10.28, and with a 30-cent initial stop puts it just below the low of the day. It trades up in an orderly fashion. The 30-period regression line, the black line, acts as a pretty good support through here. The beginning of trending behavior here happens at about 11:09. Triggers us to move the stop to above no lose, and then we'll start adjusting this up and tracking it as we go. At this point, with price at 10.40, we're about half an hour into this thing, and so and it looks like it's starting to take off because we have the beginning of trending behavior here when the price and both regression lines have left the river. They're in the floodplain, as you can see there. This is how that trade unfolds. Here was that entry, and then it stays up here in the floodplain, and it comes rolling back. And right about here we get the regression line crossover, and so we've got to exit not later than price re-entering the river. So we get an exit at 10.40, and so that gives us about 0.5 R. After a regression line crossover outside of the river, we expect price to come back to the Bollinger Band mean, the middle of the river. It does. It holds. Starts waffling around the Bollinger Band mean here, comes back and tests the bottom of the river again and holds. When this 30-period regression line rolls over and comes back into the river, we now have sideways quiet channel between these two vertical blue lines, because now we have price in both regression lines inside the Bollinger Band, whose slope is basically flat. It's in there from about 11:36 to about 12:15, so for about 40 minutes or 45 minutes or so. It stays in that sideways quiet channel chopping around. Then price starts to move out smartly. Price and the ribbon leave the river. We're into the second cycle of the trade now. We'll take the entry here at 10.40 with a if we were using our typical 30-cent stop, that would be down here by this red line, and there's a lot of reason to like that because it's protecting the move if it went below the low of the day. You could also use a 15-cent stop here below this swing, the double bottom swing low in the VWAP that held. You wouldn't want to stay any longer than this anyway, so even if you bought it here and it failed immediately, if it crossed this red line, you'd be getting out, so you might as well use that as your initial stop. For position size purposes, you might want to stay with your 30-cent stop. In any event, this thing moves up quickly, you get into the money, and then just starts running without even looking back. Just came out of nowhere. I mean, from sideways quiet channel to suddenly pow. It runs up to 11. We have an exhaustion bar here, a spike. Now notice how the spike of the bar chart goes high, but the Bollinger Band 2 doesn't go with it. What that's saying is that this was very low volume spike right here. So as that's rolling over, I just go ahead and take the exit here at 10.90. I'm not even going to wait for the regression line crossover. So if you get a bad fill, if you make your decision here and then get a bad fill, you still get 10.90. Now you get the move from 10.40 to 10.90. If you're using the 15-cent stop as is indicated here, then you're looking a little over 3R. If you're using a 30-cent stop, it's about 1.7 ish, and that's not bad work from about 10:15 to 1 o'clock, so 45-minute move. The regression line crossover occurs here, and then it starts failing. From here, we would expect that it's either going to hurry up and go and get above this swing high, in which case you could re-enter at about 11, or it's going to come back and meet the intersection of the rising Bollinger Band mean and the decaying price, which is basically what happened. Moving along further that day, this is what happens next. Now we're looking at SVXY. This is the inverse VIX. I was in a, so this is right around noon, was in a meeting with a friend watching him get promoted, and so I missed this move here. This would be the normal place for us to be alerted in trading. Now we either be short SVXY or more likely long uvxy, but here's a move from about 89 to 84. That's a 5% move in about an hour and a half. And you can see how the guidance of the 30-period regression line is really important. I come back from the meeting, I see this extreme move. I see it chopping around here. It's starting to make an intraday low. It finds support. The 10-period regression line rolls over and starts entering the river, as does the 2-period Bollinger Band with price, and that's enough for me. The regression line crossover happens right inside here also, so now I'm prepared to move and take the initial entry at 84.40. It blasts right up to 85.40 on a 30-cent stop. So that's a 3R move just to the Bollinger Band mean, and it doesn't even hesitate and blasts right through to the far side. As it leaves the river with momentum, is showing no sign of pulling back. You can make the second entry at 86.20. So now we're a $1.80 into this. That's a 6R entry. This was just moving so fast that I was enjoying the ride as opposed to looking to see how much quicker could I get that next position in. If I was better, maybe I could have gotten it down here when it didn't even hesitate at the mean, but what are you going to do? So get the second position on here also with a 30-cent stop. It keeps running up. It comes up, touches the VWAP again. Now notice the spike, and the Bollinger Band 2 doesn't go with it. It's rolling over, and so I get bottom ticked on this exit here at 86.90 and between the two positions, so I'm all out here with a plan to re-enter above the VWAP, which then ends up happening. But really shouldn't be surprised when it fails here. It's got the VWAP, so it's back to fair value, and that's where it stalled out for a long period of time before, so that's sort of an expected hesitation point. Notice how on the way down it never even stopped, on the way up it never stopped, and then where it hesitated first time, it's now hesitating again. There's a certain beautiful symmetry to that. So anyway, go ahead and take this exit here, and it's 10R, and how much more did you want? It comes back, it doesn't even get to the edge of the river, but then reverses and starts going up through the VWAP, and I go ahead and make my re-entry on one position here because it's cleared this price resistance over here. It runs up to okay, so we're in at 87.50-ish, and it makes a run up here to 89.15 for crying out loud. That's $2.50. And then it pulls back. I mean, sorry, $1.50. And then it pulls back to the 30-period regression line. The 10 periods rolling over. We're getting close to the exit for the day, close of the day at 15.51. So go ahead and just take that exit, get all out at 88.75. Again, not a really good fill, but what are you going to do? 88.75, and then between the 10R and the two positions here and another 4, that's 14R from 2 o'clock until 6, so in a 2-hour time frame. And what's interesting is just to notice the symmetry on the way down and the way up. If you just were to isolate that and take a look at the important checkpoints here, you have the breakout from the sideways quiet channel to the downside. You have a regression line crossover, so consider that to be one leg down. Then see what it does. It should get back to the mean. It doesn't. It fails before it even gets to the mean. You could re-enter here. Then you got a nice ride down here. You get another regression line crossover outside of the river. It gets to the far side of the river and the beginning of trending behavior as soon as the 30 comes out of the river. blasts through the VWAP without even looking, and then comes all the way up to another regression line crossover. So there's a certain symmetry to that move from 89.50 to 84, then back up to 89.50. All in the matter of the afternoon move. One of the reasons to be interested in trading volatility. So that's trades of the day from the chat room today. That was almost 20R in that little sequence of 3 or 4 trades right there. So that's a pretty good day at work. This is Ken Long from Tortoise Capital. Take good care.